It is Sunday, April 20th, and from the nation's capital, I'm Tom Clark, and you are in the WestBlock. Well, 6 CF-18s, the support staff that goes with them, and 20 additional military personnel are heading off to Europe. The deployment is part of a bigger NATO mission to strengthen the defenses of NATO member countries along the border of Ukraine and Russia. In making the announcement, the Prime Minister said Russia's actions represent a serious threat to global peace and security. Well, joining me now from Winnipeg is the Parliamentary Secretary to National Defense, James Bezan. So exactly then, what are these CF-18s going to be doing? What is their mission?
Well, that is still being worked on by all allies, since there's still member states still committing assets to the mission. But this is about providing good security to all NATO members. We are very hopeful with the decision that was made on Thursday in Geneva by the U.S., the European Union, Ukraine, and by Russia on a path forward to find a solution to the situation in Ukraine. But ultimately, the de-escalation of tensions rides solely on President Putin and his kleptocrats that surround him in the Kremlin.
Okay, and, well, we use, but Mr. Bezan, I mean, we use those words, which are very aggressive words, and they may apply in this case. But when you say we're there to provide security, I mean, have we got rules of engagement? Are we ready to pull the trigger? Are we ready to launch missiles? Presumably warplanes commit war, right?
But right now we're talking about, let's keep the two silos apart. One is the NATO context within the NATO member states. Ukraine is not a member state of NATO. However, we are very concerned about the aggression that has been shown by the Russian Federation, that the black ops forces that they have on the ground in Ukraine, as we saw previously in Crimea, did orchestrate the takeover and ultimate annexation of Crimea. We're starting to see that played out. So, yeah, we are definitely going to have NATO forces in the region.
But how far are you prepared? How far are we prepared to go? We're sending over military assets. Are we prepared to pull the trigger?
We're prepared to defend NATO members under Article 5, which Canada is a signatory to, and would expect the same type of consideration by all NATO members if it was us. Article 5 has only been invoked once, and that was, of course, after the 9/11 attacks in the United States.
And I'll just add that Article 5, for people who don't know, it is basically the line that says an attack against one of us is an attack against all of us, and that's why we go and
exactly.
And we're talking about Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, and other NATO countries. And how much is this going to cost, or do we even know?
I think it's too early to tell. We still are in the process of planning because we still aren't sure where our fighter jets and the ground troops and support personnel are going to be stationed with those fighter jets, as well as who we'll be collaborating with and in what Air Force bases. So that is still being worked out, and those numbers will be coming forward in the days to come.
Just a final question, Mr. Bezan, although it is not required, have you consulted or did you consult with the opposition parties before you announced this deployment?
Well, since this is part of our already existing agreements under NATO, and I know that in discussions that I've had with members of the opposition, they're very supportive of us being an active member of NATO, and that this deployment is a correct step.
So the answer to my question, which was, did you consult with the opposition parties, the answer would be no, is that correct?
You know, I think that this is just regular business under the NATO context.
So the answer is no?
To tell you the truth, Tom, I'm not aware of those discussions. I have talked to my colleagues, but and I know that they're supportive.
Okay, so you're not sure whether the opposition was consulted?
Well, it's consulted whether or not the Prime Minister was had talked previously.
Okay. Mr. Bezan, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of National Defense, thanks very much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Tom.